Hello, everybody. Welcome back to A Person's Haven. If you are joining us again, or welcome for your first time, if this is your first time viewing. Today, we are in the kitchen and we are going to make a bunch of banana products. Last winter, my husband and I had gotten a whole bunch of bananas that were very, very ripe, and we could not use them all that fast. So I peeled them all, put them into a gallon bag, and I stuck them in my freezer. And this last weekend, as we were cleaning out the freezer and going through it, my husband said, "Hey, you should take these out and use them." And I thought I could just pull a banana or two out. That was my initial plan, but they're all frozen into a blob. So now we have a bowl of mushed bananas, which I know doesn't look that great because they are all brown. But rest assured, they will taste the same nonetheless in baked goods. So the first thing we are going to make is a banana bread. And then I'm going to make a banana cake with some cream cheese frosting. So this banana bread recipe is the recipe that my mom used growing up. It's the recipe that I still use now. So let's get started. The first ingredient on the recipe is shortening. I know shortening is pretty old school and not many people have shortening, but let me tell you, this is what makes it. So this calls for half a cup of shortening. I'm probably going to double the batch just because I don't want half a cup of shortening hanging out. So I'm going to do 1 cup of shortening and double it. That'll make us 2 loaves. That way we can have some for breakfast. We can take it to our lake place this weekend and share with our family. So 1 whole stick of shortening is going to go in. Mind you, this is a double batch recipe. And I will put all the ingredients for this in the description below. And I will do a single batch recipe when I type that up. The next ingredient is white sugar. It calls for 1 cup of white sugar, so we are going to double that. So we need 2 cups of white sugar. And then the recipe doesn't necessarily say this. It actually doesn't say anything because I just wrote down the ingredients from my mom's recipe. But how I've always made this is I take the shortening and the sugar and I kind of cream it together. And I'll show you what that looks like when I'm done here. I always have used a spoon that has holes in it. That's just me. If you would ask my husband, he would say, "Why are you not using your KitchenAid mixer that you have?" But, you know, sometimes I just like to do it old school, do it by hand with some of these old family recipes. We never really had a mixer growing up. We had one of those handheld ones, but the beaters would fall out of it halfway through mixing. So we just learned to mix things by hand. All right, so we have all of this cream together. If you can see this here, it does not look like there's any sugar granules anymore. All that sugar is incorporated into the shortening. So that is how it should look. The recipe next calls for 2 crushed bananas. So my bananas are already smushed. And I did some math and researching earlier on the internet, and it said that 2 crushed bananas is equivalent to 1 cup, excuse me, 1 cup of smushed bananas is equivalent to 2 crushed bananas. So already smushed bananas is equivalent. So since I'm doubling the recipe, I would use 2 cups, but typically I honestly put probably 6 bananas in here. So I'm probably going to end up doing 4 cups, and we'll see how it looks, and we'll go from there. So that's 1 cup. 2 cups. And I might just do, because I want to make a banana cake yet. So I might just do 2.5 cups and leave it at that. So I mix this in next. All right, everybody. So we have our bananas in. The next ingredient is 2 eggs. So I'm going to put in 4 eggs because we're doubling it. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I'm going to mix those in. All right, so baking soda is next. It says 1 teaspoon, so we are going to put in 2. And then the final ingredient is 2 cups of flour, and we will be putting 4 cups of flour in. So here is a half and 1 and 4. I'm going to get that mixed in. And then I'm also going to do a splash of vanilla. So this is homemade vanilla from my mother-in-law. I should probably ask her if she wants to teach you guys how to make it. This one, she used bourbon as her alcohol of choice. Okay, so this is what our, oh, got a little flour left. So this is what our batter looks like. It is pretty thick, but we will get it into the pans and get it in the oven. All right, so I'm just using 2 of my bigger size bread pans. This one says it's a 5.2 by 9 by 2.75 or 1.5 quart. And this one's about the same. So I'm going to spray them and flour them. This is how I learned how to flour when I was a kid. You just kind of pound it around the bottom. And then once you get to the edges, you kind of put it around the edges. If someone else has a different way to do it that is better, please let me know. Anything extra, I just kind of leave there. I've never made the banana bread in this glass one before, so we will see how that goes. And I'm going to switch to a spatula here. And then we're going to put about half of our batter into each dish. Oh, found some flour there on the bottom that didn't get mixed in all the way. We'll just mix that in. And then you're just going to spread out your batter, fill all your corners. Right, so we are going to bake these at 350 degrees for about 45 minutes. And we will check them at that point and we will see what they look like and see if they're done. All right, everybody, so the timer just went off. Let's pull these out and make sure they're done. All right, so to check and see if it is done, you push a knife or a toothpick down in, and if it comes out clean, it is done. So this one is not done. And this one, not done either. So we're going to put these back in. We'll probably do 5-minute increments, and we'll just keep checking on them. All right, so our timer just went off again. So let's test these out. The brown pan is still soft. And I can see that this one is still soft. So I'm going to put 10 minutes on this time. And we'll let it keep cooking. All right, everybody. So while we wait for the banana bread to finish, we are going to get started on making the banana cake. I will be using my KitchenAid this time around, just because it is a little tougher recipe. So the first ingredient is 2/3 cup of butter. And I have my butter here. And it looks like 1/3 of a cup is 5 1/4 tablespoons. So I'm probably going to have to piece this together a little bit because I didn't realize I was a little short on butter. And then this one is 4. So we'll put this one in. And we'll do this other piece here. So that gives us our, actually that gives us more than 2/3. Let's pull these chunks out because we only need those 2 big chunks, which is perfect. These little ones can be for our frosting. Next we need 1 1/3 cup of sugar. So this is a 1/3 cup and I need 1 2/3. And 1/3 and 2/3. So we are going to cream this together. The butter is a little hard, so we're going to have to start slow and work our way up. All right, so this is what the butter is going to look like creamed together. Similar to the shortening in that other recipe. All right, the next ingredient is 2/3 cup of buttermilk. I just have regular milk, so I am going to do 2/3 cup of regular milk plus a splash of lemon juice, because that is how you make buttermilk. All right, we got it open. We'll just put a splash in, and that will make us our buttermilk. All right, the next thing it calls for, let's go check our banana bread. All right. That's getting there. It's still got a little ways left. I think this one's good. So if you touch the top and it bounces back, that's one way to know. Or you stick it in. So this one is good. We'll leave this one for, let's just do 5 again. And I'm going to go set this one over on the counter. And we are going to, actually I might try to flip this right out of this pan while it's warm so it doesn't burn. And there's our loaf. I'm going to put it on the table to cool. All right, so we've got the butter and the sugar and the buttermilk in here. Now it calls for 1¼ cup bananas. Let's see how much bananas we actually have in this bowl. So it looks like we have 2 cups. Honestly, I'm just going to put it in there. We may have to adjust our flour at the end. We'll see. And then it calls for 3 eggs. All right, so we're going to slowly mix that together. All right, now for the dry ingredients. So we need 1¼ teaspoon of baking soda. So there's the 1/4. And there's the 1. And we need 3/4 teaspoon of salt. So let me grab the salt. All right, that last loaf is done of the bread. So I'm going to dump it out of here, get it cooling, and then we'll finish this cake. All right, so we're back. The salt is 3/4. So there's 1, 2, and 3. And then 2 cups of flour in here. And that's 2. And then the recipe doesn't call for it, but I'm going to do a splash of vanilla. And then slowly, slowly, slowly mix this. All right, the last ingredient it does call for is pecan. So I'm going to go check if I have some, but I don't think I do. Okay, so I did find some nut topping for salads, glazed walnuts. So I think I'm going to just chop some of these so they're not such big chunks and throw them in here. So let me get a cutting board real quick and clear myself a spot. And the recipe calls for 2/3 cup. So I am going to just measure them all into there. Let's make sure these are good because I don't even know when I actually bought these. Alright, that's fine. And honestly, normally I don't put nuts in things because my mom has nut allergies. And for a long while I thought I had nut allergies because she told my sister and I growing up that we had nut allergies. Turns out we don't. But for some reason, I just feel like putting nuts in this cake. Normally I would skip it, but something just keeps saying in my brain it's going to taste good. So, all right, so I have some pieces that are about that size. I have some smaller pieces that size. So they're just going to be all different size pieces. That was about 1/3 of a cup, so I'm going to do about the same amount more. Alright, so this might be a little bit more than I need, but I'm probably going to use it anyways because it's already cut. So this is about our 2/3. That doesn't even give us a whole nother third, so we're just going to add that in. Alright, we're going to stir this up a little bit. Alright, and then let's go get our cake pan. Alright, so here's our cake pan. I did spray it prior. I accidentally sprayed it when we were making our cornbread that we made for supper, thinking the cornbread was going to go in that dish and then realizing it was supposed to go in a square 9x9 or 8x8 dish, not a 9x13 or 9x11 dish. So that one was sprayed prior. We are going to just pour our cake batter in here. All right, so we have that poured in there. And we are going to get that in the oven, a 350 oven, for 30 to 40 minutes. So our oven is already ready from our bread pan, our bread that we made. So we just have to throw it in and set our timer. I'm going to set the timer for 30 minutes to start with, and then we will check it and add more if we need. All right, guys, so we have our bread. It is fairly cool, and we are going to cut it and give it a try. My husband said he wanted to try a piece as well. Typically, I do not like to cut my banana bread hot. I prefer my banana bread to be cooled, but my husband likes warm banana bread. Let me grab a plate. We'll get a little butter on this and we'll give it a try. So I can smell it. It smells so good. I was a little nervous using the frozen bananas. That was actually the first time I've used the frozen bananas. And I like extra lots of butter. So here goes nothing. I could have put more banana in it. Give it a little more banana flavor, but it is good. Very good. All right, everybody. So the first timer went off. That was 30 minutes. Remember, the cake said 30 to 40, and this cake is definitely not done. If you can see, it's still very, very jiggly. So I'm going to put it back in. I'm going to set 10 more minutes on it, and then I'll just keep doing 10-minute increments. Let's check on the cake. Oh yeah, that looks a lot better. So no more jiggle. We are going to it does spring back, and the last test is going to be the knife test. And it does come out fairly clean. So I'm going to call that, just kidding, we might have one pocket right here yet. Oh yeah, we got one pocket. So let's put this back in. We'll do 5 minutes this time. I don't know how my cake got lopsided, but it did. We're going to do 5 minutes. And hopefully it'll be done. All right, guys. So I believe this cake is done. Let's check it. It did get pretty dark, but I feel like banana bread and cakes do that. The whole cake does bounce back nicely. Everything comes out clean. So we are going to call that done. All right, guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave this on the stove overnight. We're going to let it cool. Tomorrow, I'm going to frost it. I have a recipe for a cream cheese frosting. We do have to make one more cake tomorrow. It is a cake that I'm going to take to work to use my rhubarb pulp up that I have in my fridge. And then we are basically wrapping up our crazy couple days of baking. So hang on tight. We'll see you tomorrow when we frost this and give it a try. All right, everybody. So we are back in the kitchen. It is the next day. We have our banana cake over here, which we made last night. And we are going to make the frosting for it. So this is just a basic cream cheese frosting. So the first ingredient is cream cheese. 1 8-ounce cream cheese. And I'm actually going to make this exact frosting. My helpers are here. This exact frosting for a lemon rhubarb cake that I made. I didn't record that one, but I did make it for my coworkers for tomorrow for work. All right, the next ingredient calls for 1/4 cup of butter. So 1/4 cup of butter is half a stick. And all of this is pre-softened. So we got this, and then we got to take half of one of those. So let me grab a knife here. And then I'm going to cream this together. And then we'll add the powdered sugar. And it does say a teaspoon of vanilla, so I'm just going to do a splash of vanilla. So I'm going to scrape this all down to the bottom to start with. And I hope I have enough powdered sugar for 2 batches of this. These are 1/3 cups. And 2. And just like that, we have us some frosting. Alright, so super simple frosting. We're going to wipe this batter, whatever you call these things, off. I do have some powdered sugar still here at the bottom, so I'm going to try to get that folded in here real quick. That's one reason I have found I dislike the KitchenAid. Mine never gets everything off the bottom, and I don't know if it's just me doing things wrong or what, but it never fails. Since it's just me and my husband eating this, I don't care that I lick my finger. I know some people will have an opinion on that, but all right. There you have it, everybody. We've got the banana cake done. I do think, I don't know why, I'm usually not a nut in sweets person, but for some reason, these things are calling me. So I am going to top it with these candied walnuts. I feel like it's because I'm feeling nostalgic after my husband and I watched this movie called Green and Gold this weekend. And it reminded me of my grandparents and the farm growing up and how my grandma would have sweets all the time at her house. And she put nuts in things. And I think that's why I'm craving the nuts in sweets. So here we are. I'm going to wait for my husband to get in. He's doing some work outside. While I wait, I'm going to make the same exact frosting for my other cake. And then my desserts will be done. We still have a few things left to do before the weekend. So I'm just going to sign off here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. and I hope you come back to watch some more. If you did enjoy the video, please please subscribe to the channel. Please send this to your family or friends and tell them all about us. We hope that we are making content you enjoy. Please drop a comment. Tell us if you like it. Tell us what you'd like to see. We will see what we can do to make different and new content. As of right now, it's a lot of garden, cooking, and canning, and that's really about it. So let us know what you want to see, and we will do our best to get that content to you. While you wait for the next video, if you want to watch some of these other videos, I will link them on the side here. But until next time, hope you all have a good day, and we'll see you later. Alright guys, let's give this a try. So good.